Hello and welcome to the Mini Challenge for the next round of the Mini Cooper, Pro, Am and S Championships. This time we're out on the Indy circuit at Brands Hatch, where it was every Mini fan's dream, both on and off track. Fans even getting to experience a more personal view of the racing. Last time out we were further north at Oulton Park. In the first Cooper S race there was lots of close action up front, with Will Fairclough and Tom Halliwell battling each other for a step on the top of the podium. It was Rob Austin, though, who led in the early stages before Halliwell had a grassy moment at Old Hall Corner, allowing Will Fairclough to take the opening victory of the weekend. In race number 2, battle was rejoined, not before Halliwell had had some more sideways antics at Druids. Jono Davis had mechanical dramas further back, whilst Halliwell reignited his race 1 dice with Will Fairclough, who won on the road but was later penalised, handing the victory to Halliwell. All of that means that arriving here at Brands Hatch, Fairclough has a slender championship lead, just 9 points clear of Rob Austin, with Andy Montgomery very much still in contention in third. Kevin Owen and Chloe Hewitt round out the top 5. Well, sodden conditions greeting the drivers here for their second race of the weekend. The race yesterday won by Will Fairclough, so he starts on pole position for this one with Rob Austin alongside him. Lights go out, away we go. They scrabble for grit on the run up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. It is a good start from the pole sitter. He will lead in towards turn number 1. The red car of Austin slots into second, and around the outside is coming Chloe Hewitt in the zebra liveried car. She can't take third place. She will settle into fourth position behind the white machine of number 8, Kevin Owen. So all safely through Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. It towards Druids now. The wide line, sometimes in the wet, is where the grip is, and you can see there Samantha Bowler trying to use that grippier line to her advantage to find a way into fourth place ahead of Chloe Hewitt. She can't do it there. What about down at Graham Hill Bend? Again goes right round the outside. It looks so unorthodox, but in the wet it really works. Samantha Bowler, I think, might have managed to make that move stick. She's on the outside line towards Surtees. This is a corner that's near enough flat out in the drive. There is a big lift and a pretty big dab on the brakes in the wet conditions as they tiptoe their way through. And the race leader has a big moment. Will Fairclough, how on earth did he avoid getting beached in the gravel there? Well, unfortunately, Alan Lee has not enjoyed the same luxury. He's stuck in the gravel at Paddock Hill Bend, so the safety car is called for, but my word, that was a big moment for Will Fairclough. Well, the safety car lights are off. We're about to resume racing, and Will Fairclough, with dirty tyres, but thankfully still the race lead, is about to become the pace car. He will set the pace as they rush towards the start-finish line. Top 3 getting a good restart there, Fairclough, Austin and Owen. And so they build a bit of a gap over the rest of the cars, no overtaking until you cross the start-finish line. Then they arrive at Paddock Hill Bend at full racing speed for the first time. A bit of a guessing game as to when you get on the brakes and where the grippiest line is. I'm keeping an eye on Samantha Bowler there in fourth position as she starts to, again, use the high line. Look at that, the blue and red car 666 heads to the high line through Druids, carries good speed through the corner and might just be able to challenge for third place down the hill. Looks to the inside of Kevin Owen, late on the brakes, and Samantha Bowler bowls her way through. Great driving, she's a bit wide on the curb, but she's on to the podium. Now what further progress can she make? Towards Surtees they go. Jono Davis, the white-green number 21 car in the background, was a non-finisher yesterday, so started at the back. He's already starting to work his way up the order. Andy Montgomery, though, is in all sorts of trouble, loses the rear of the car, a big tank slapper, and off onto the grass he goes. And the grass is very wet and slippery as well, and somewhere Samantha Bowler's had a moment too, because remember, she was third. Well, now Jono Davis is in front of her. Let's see what happens to Montgomery. He loses the rear of the car and goes off onto the grass, and just in front you saw Jono Davis making a move up the inside of Kevin Owen and somehow getting himself ahead of Bowler as well. Chloe Hewitt now coming under pressure from the number 8 machine of Owen, who looks to the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. Remember, that could be where the grippy line is, but it's fraught with danger because you get so close to the edge of the road. Both drivers, though, leaving themselves plenty of room on the run through the dip back up the hill towards Druids Corner. Behind them, look, is Tom Halliwell, winner at Oulton Park last time out. Struggling a little maybe in the wet conditions. We saw his car was quite lively even in the dry. He likes a car that clearly is set up with quite a lot of oversteer, but in the wet that's not necessarily what you need for having as much confidence underneath you as possible. Through Graham Hill he goes. There is the number 88 car, trying to close in on this battling pair in front of him. Through Surtees. Road getting no drier, the rain continuing to fall, but at least the conditions are static. They're not really changing that much. The drivers, as the race goes on, should gain a little confidence in the grip levels. Oh, for Kevin Owen, though. Can't find a way past Chloe Hewitt just yet. Chloe in the number 5 machine He's fending him off well, but in a straight line, Owen has the advantage of a slipstream. He might be close enough to attacking towards Paddock Hill Bend. There are only a couple of car lengths between them. Chloe Hewitt knows the attack could be coming, though. Goes to the inside to defend, so Owen goes right round the outside. Look at that for a move. That was real bravery under brake. He knew where the grip was as well. Works his way ahead of Chloe Hewitt. Now, though, he has to turn his attention from attack to defence because Chloe is trying to come back at him. Again, takes the wider line into Druids and then cuts back at the late apex, trying to carry speed down the hill. The inside line is offered up to her at Graham Hill Bend, but Kevin Owen carries enough speed into the corner there to dissuade Chloe from having a real go at getting through. This is a nice little battle going on between these two cars. And towards Surtees, again, you can see a bit of a witness mark on the front of Kevin Owen's car. He's had a bit of contact from somebody earlier on in the race. A lot of standing water around, though, and so just when you think you're feeling comfortable in these conditions, you can catch a puddle, go through the corner just a mile an hour or so too quickly, and the order can all change again. And you can see there that Hewitt suddenly has found a bit more grip through clearway. He's got up the inside, was looking to try and get back through. Further up the road, Rob Austin is attacking Jono Davis, who has not long got past him, actually. So Jono trying to now defend the position that he's recently acquired. The 21 machine staying in front, and Davis seems to have good pace here in the wet. Well, Fairclough, though, has better pace than anybody. He's off in the race lead and doesn't look likely to get caught, it has to be said. He, apart from that little moment he had up at this corner earlier on, has been in sublime form. He's working his way now out of clearways for the final time. He's about to see, if he can see it through the spray, the checkered flag. Here comes Will Fairclough. He is going to take victory in the second race of the weekend for Cooper S's here at Brands Hatch. Checkered flag goes to him. This is the battle that's going on further back, though, for fourth position. And Tom Halliwell, well and truly a part of this battle now, goes up the inside of Kevin Owen, who appears to be slowing down slightly on the final lap. So some sort of drama for Owen. That is to the benefit of Halliwell, who moves into fifth position. Had the race been a couple of laps longer, he might have had a chance to challenge Chloe Hewitt for fourth, but I don't think he's quite going to get there. Chloe Hewitt will come out on top of what has been a very entertaining scrap a bit further down the order, but it doesn't matter whether you're fighting for the lead or fighting for fourth place, it's well worth fighting for. It's Hewitt who gets fourth at the flag. Will Fairclough, though, is victorious in the opening race of the weekend for Cooper S's. Behind him on the podium, we have Jono Davis and Rob Austin, Chloe Hewitt and Tom Halliwell rounding out the top five. Quite a few drivers who failed to finish. Will Fairclough won the race fairly convincingly.
The objective this year was to introduce myself into motor racing. You know, you kind of know yourself before you get into a car what sort of capabilities you've got as a driver. But when you get into a race car, it's a whole different kettle of fish. But with the right attitude and the right aptitude, you just put your mind to it and just push. It's within your capabilities. There's a lot. I could have gone off. I could have gone up. I went off nearly at the top of clearways there. But I'm feeling enough confidence to control the car and make it do what I want it to do.
The conditions for race 3 were little better than they had been for race 2. A very wet track. Tom Halliwell on pole position. He didn't convert pole position into the lead, though. A poor start saw the whole field come storming past. Jono Davis got into a lead that he would never give away, whilst behind Will Fairclough was on the grass, coming out of Druids. That dropped him down the order, but his fight back began in earnest, first passing Chloe Hewitt, and then arriving on the tail of Rob Austin. The pair then engaged in a fascinating duel, with each seemingly trying to outdo the other with their displays of car control. Rob Austin had a moment first, then Will Fairclough had a mammoth slide at Paddock Hill Bend, somehow saving the car, holding on to the position. Not to be outdone, Andy Montgomery had a similar moment at Paddock, losing out to Samantha Bowler. Out in front, escaping all of the drama, was Jono Davis. He came serenely home to a race victory in very tricky conditions. So Davis with the win. Will Fairclough and Rob Austin made it onto the podium, ahead of Chloe Hewitt and Samantha Bowler. Alan Lee and Tom Halliwell failed to finish. It was Jono Davis who rounded out the weekend in style. In the championship standings, Will Fairclough has extended his lead now over Rob Austin in second, with Andy Montgomery third, Chloe Hewitt's into the top five, with Kevin Owen in fifth place. Still plenty more mini action to come from Brands Hatch. The Cooper Pro-Ams are up after the break. Welcome back to Brands Hatch, where the miserable conditions are not putting off the spectators. We're all looking forward to a pair of exciting Pro-Am races. At Alton Park, the racing was very close indeed, with Kyle Reid and Robbie Dalgleish engaging in plenty of panel bashing as they disputed the Race 1 victory. Reid it was who took the win in the opening race. Their battle was to resume in Race 2. At the start, it was Reid that held the lead. Martin Poole was a factor in this one, in an ongoing battle with Dalgleish for second place. Relieved the pressure from the race leader, whilst a red flag came out after an enormous accident for Neil Clark at Druids, handing the victory on a plate to Kyle Reid. So a double race victory for Reid means he arrives at Brands Hatch with the points lead over Robbie Dalgleish and Jacob Andrews. In the AM class, Gary Papworth is third, Andy Godfrey second, whilst Alex Neville is the points leader. Before the racing got underway at Brands Hatch, we had a chance to catch up with Championship newcomer, Made in Chelsea star Emma Walsh.
Never been in a race, always was a dream of mine since I was a kid. I had no idea what I was going to do with my race license when I got it, but Mini gave me this opportunity through YouTube, which has been great, to come and race in the Mini Challenge. So we had 2 test days before this weekend in the Cooper Pro class, and I would just say that I've always had a respect for drivers. I know it's not easy, but my goodness, like there is so much going on to think about, to do with the car, just the right lines, you know, gaining time on the track. And so my head is, I was tired at the end of testing day, put it that way. I'm not gonna lie, I'm absolutely terrified, but I'm loving it. It's just literally the best thing I've ever done.
Well, we'll watch with interest to see how she gets on in this second race of the weekend. The race yesterday won by Kyle Reid. That's why he is on pole position then for the second of 3 races on the Indy circuit. Damp and greasy conditions as for all the drivers as the lights go out and the race gets underway. Reid holding on to the lead from pole position as he rushes towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. The advantage he's got over second place man, that's Richard Newman, who's come up into second position. In third place then is Toby Goodman. The rest of them slithering their way through. There are the AM cars getting off the line. And it looks like a fairly neat start for them as well. Gary Papworth there is third. It's side by side for the lead in the AM class though as they turn into the corner. On the inside line, Andy Godfrey I think will hold on to it. Pro drivers though are coming out of Druids for the first time down towards Graham Hill Bend, and Richard Newman, having made a strong start, is now coming under quite a lot of pressure here from the number 85 machine of Toby Goodman. Toby clambering all over the boot lid of the 56 car as they drop down in towards Surtees. Behind it's also side by side. Around the outside is Robbie Dalgleish, championship contender, and Jacob Andrews in the number 19 car. Both of them, in fact, running fairly well in the points coming into this weekend. Back through Surtees, and you can see that there's a real variety of lines. It's not fully wet yet, but as it gets wetter, the ideal racing line may start to change. At the moment, the conditions are those damp and greasy ones that the drivers don't really enjoy. They don't quite know how much grip they're going to have from one lap to the next, so it's a bit of a voyage into the unknown. Doesn't seem to be hurting Kyle Reid though. Unfortunately, the same not true of Goodman, because Toby Goodman is off in the gravel and he tags the barriers as well at Paddock Hill Bend, and from a podium place, unfortunately, the number 85 car is going to start dropping down the order. A replay of what happened to Goodman, so easy to do. Even in the dry, we see drivers do that frequently. You enter that corner with a really wide line. In the wet, if you get a wheel on the white line, you're straight off the road. Thankfully, not too much damage done. Nice battle going on here. That's the number 23 car of Lee Pearce. This is in the AM class. Going past him there was the number 36 machine making a place. That was Mark Cornell in the Pro. Cornell not having a great start, starting now to pick his way past some of the AM cars as they race back towards Paddock Hill Bend. James Goodall there continuing to apply the pressure now to car number 9 in front. That's Simon Walton, who also races an Audi TT in several of the championships. This is the championship from which he and his son Owen first appeared. And good to see Simon back in the championship here at this mini festival meeting. Unfortunately though, the first ever race in the championship for Emma Walsh has not ended brilliantly because she's in the gravel at Paddock, and that will bring out the safety car. The car in a dangerous position needs to be removed from the gravel. Thankfully that process hasn't taken long. Emma back on her way. Safety car has been called for. Well, safety car back in the pit lane then. We're racing once more. Kyle Reid, who had built up a nice little cushion over Richard Newman before the safety car. That cushion is now eradicated because they are right back together again. They head in towards Paddock Hill Bend once more. Reid it is, though, who leads them through. Robbie Dalgleish there in third. He'll be looking to try and get onto terms with the race leader, ideally, because that is the fight for the championship lead at this stage of the year. We're getting now down towards crunch time. We're into the second half of the season. Every point starts to count. At the moment, there is a car between them, though. That is the car of Newman. And we've got this fight for third, which actually sees Dalglish under quite a bit of pressure here from Jacob Andrews, and then the number 82 car next in line. That is Lydia Walmsley, the silver machine. Lydia running in the 5th position at the moment, Simon Walton behind her, and then the recovering Goodman. This safety car has helped Goodman there. You can see him on the outside in the blue 85 car. Mark Cornell on the inside is not moving out of his way though, so the BizKarts entry is still yet to find a way past, but Goodman taking advantage of the safety car. It bunches everyone back up. All of the time that he lost because of the off the Paddock Hill bend earlier on, well, that's now been eradicated. He's back with the pack and start moving through it. Check back in with some of the battles going on towards the front of the AM class very briefly, before we focus on Simon Walton, who is defending busily here from Mark Cornell, who rather than coming under increasing pressure from Goodman is actually applying the pressure now to Walton as they go into Paddock Hill bend. He tried the outside on the way in, cuts back to the late apex. That's a good move because it gives him the inside line for Druids, and Simon Walton doesn't really want to take too many risks here, doesn't move over too aggressively to defend, and so Cornell will go through on the inside line. Nicely done. You can see the rain starting to come down a little bit more heavily now too, so the conditions continuing to evolve as the race goes on. And Goodman maybe starting to come on stronger as the conditions worsen, because he's up the inside of Walton now, gives him the hip and shoulder over the curb. Walton probably didn't appreciate that, and look at Goodall. James Goodall takes full advantage of that and gains 2 places for the price of 1. That was a prime example of 2 drivers so preoccupied fighting each other that they forgot there was anyone else on the track, and James Goodall able to move his way past both of them before immediately getting sideways, I noticed in the background. Meanwhile, Cornell continues his march towards the front. That was Jacob Andrews that he's gone past now. So this is a really positive drive here from Mark Cornell, who started the race down in 8th position. He's gaining ground every lap, it will seem, at the moment. James Goodall, after that little moment that I caught in the background at Clearways, now has Goodman back alongside, but Goodman just doesn't seem to quite have the confidence in the car in these greasy conditions. Goodall, though, definitely does, because he gets a good exit from Paddock, gets up the inside of Lydia Walmsley, and rather than defending a position, actually looks like he's going to gain one. Out of Druids they go. And this is where the closest racing is, in behind Jacob Andrews. It's Andrews, the white and red car, then it's Goodall, the green and silver Swanflight liveried machine, then Lydia Walmsley, we can see there, number 82. Toby Goodman, possibly with some slight damage from that off that he had. And he is at the back of this group. You can see it's folded the wing mirror in as well, so if anybody comes up the inside of him, he's not going to see them coming. In fact, the other wing mirror has also been knocked in, and James Goodall, just as I was saying he was making good progress, unfortunately undoes all of the hard work. A rotation at Clearways means that he loses all the places he's just gained, and from second place off has gone Richard Newman. So all going on here in the middle stages of this race. Richard Newman, who was looking fairly comfortable in second, actually he was challenging or keeping Kyle Reid honest at least, just overruns the corner at Paddock and off he goes. The conditions are starting to catch a few drivers out now. Here comes Goodman back up the inside of Walmsley, and the circuit now wetter than it's been, I'd say, at any point during the race. So now starting to suit maybe those drivers who prefer the wetter conditions more than those who are a bit more comfortable in the dry. And Goodman tries the switch back, still can't get up the inside of Walmsley though, who's defending well. Jacob Andrews is still the car immediately in front of them, so 5 cars now together fighting for positions towards the back end of the top 10, but they could not be much closer, could they? Here we go, Goodman's going to set up the move here, goes to the inside into Clearways. Walmsley comes out a bit wide, and in the end it's a fairly simple move for Goodman, but it took him a lap or 2 to get through. Simon Walton in there too. Replay here of what happened to Goodall. Well, he's already lost it. Did well though to get it gathered together. Fortunate not to get collected by anybody else. So James Goodall, although he rejoins, he I think maybe stalled the car, delayed his rejoining. It means that actually he's lost quite a few positions. Back up the hill comes Mark Cornell in towards Druid's corner. There is Kyle Reid, and you can see that Mark Cornell has caught race leader Kyle Reid fairly rapidly. Has he got a chance though to find a way through? That's the next question. Getting into the closing stages of the race now, so if Mark Cornell is going to do this, he has to get a move on through Graham Hill bend, and a bit wide over the curbs for both of them, but wider for Reid than Cornell was. Cornell looks as though he's sizing Kyle Reid up here for a move through Surtees. That's not really an overtaking opportunity, but Clearways the next corner is. Reed defends the inside line. Cornell coming though. He's late on the brakes. He's nice and tight through the corner. Look at them both scrabbling for grip though. Really on edge through the corner, and Cornell has got the run out of the final turn. It's going to be a drag race to the checkered flag because this is the final lap of the race, and Mark Cornell has got his nose in front. Kyle Reed is coming back at him though. Get the cameras ready. It's a photo finish. Officially, the victory goes to Kyle Reed by 13 1/1000ths of a second. That was a very close finish indeed, and it's being replicated further back, look, because that is Lydia Walmsley up the inside of Jacob Andrews, and Jacob just about hangs on by 6 1/1000ths of a second, even closer. There is the AM class battle. It's Andy Godfrey who takes the victory in AM. What a race that was. Lee Pearce and Adrian Norman are on the AM podium, whilst at the front of the field, Robbie Dalgleish was third. Mark Cornell and Kyle Reed virtually together at the flag. The victory goes to the championship leader.
I got a good exit in the last corner, but he's still catching me. I didn't realise he was on wets. I didn't know who it was. There's two cars quite similar in the white and red, so I seen him coming there and I was just pushing my hardest, you know. The whole race I was just holding on. I think everyone else was the same. But the gentleman that came second, he put on wets and he came through the pack and almost got the win, so I'm chuffed a bit.
Well, as exciting as the fighting was in the pro class, in AM it was equally close. Lee Pearce got within 3/10 of the victory, which eventually went the way of Andy Godfrey.
I had my first win here last year and it was totally amazing, so to come back and be able to do it in these conditions as well, it's a fantastic weekend, fantastic.
The conditions worsened significantly before the final race of the weekend. A fully wet track for the drivers to contend with did not dampen the quality of the racing. It was Toby Goodman that led in the early stages, but the rest of the cars behind were fighting for visibility in the spray. Kyle Reed was coming though, first getting up the inside of Richard Newman and then diving for the lead at Paddock Hill Bend. It was a scintillating battle at the front of the field in the early going. Robbie Dalgleish and Toby Goodman banged wing mirrors up at Clearways as Dalgleish made his way through in robust fashion. And competitor Alex Neville had a big lose at Paddock Hill Bend, sliding across the grass, thankfully not making contact with anything solid. As the going got tougher for a few drivers further back, Kyle Reed went on to take another comfortable victory, completing the hat-trick here at Brands Hatch. In the AM class, Lee Pearce came home victorious, was joined on the podium by Mark Cornell and Gary Papworth, who were some way behind. In the pro class, Richard Newman was eventually overtaken by Robbie Dalgleish. None of them could catch Kyle Reed on his way to his third win of the weekend. As we leave Brands Hatch then, Kyle Reed has nearly a 100-point buffer over Robbie Dalgleish, who in turn is over 100 ahead of Richard Newman. Alex Neville leads the AM class equally comfortably from Andy Godfrey and Gary Papworth. Well, we've enjoyed some great racing this weekend at Brands Hatch despite the tricky conditions. The Mini Challenge continuing to entertain.